Okay, our first lesson, as I mentioned, is an introduction to statistics. It is a review lesson. And our memory verse today is found in Matthew 7, verse 7. It's a very common verse to many of us. It says, keep on asking, and you'll be given what you ask for. Keep on looking, and you will find. Keep on knocking, and the door will be opened. Or in our children's memory verse, we memorize it as seek and you will find. Ask and you'll be given. Knock and the door will be opened unto you. Now, simple objectives for today. First, we define statistics, sample, population, and other basic statistical terms. Then we explain the importance of stats, and we make problems that can be solved using stats, and we formulate simple statistical instruments. Our venture activity today is this one, my favorite Bible character. You need to ask 20 people. Now, how do you gather data? You can make an interview, a short interview. It can be through Facebook, it could be through an online poll, or it could be in random. Anyone that you meet within your home or within your social media platforms, and ask them of their favorite Bible character. And you need to summarize your data. How to present your data? It can be through a table, chart, or graph. And you answer this question: who is the most favorite Bible character of the people that you asked? Now, we start with a question. What is statistics and probability? We first start with stats. Stat is one of the branches in mathematics, and it deals with a process. First, we hypothesize what's the problem. Then we collect data, we organize data. Then, based on the organization, we analyze our data, we interpret our data, and we draw conclusions. But let me remind you that there are two branches of statistics. First is descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Let's start with the descriptive stat. Descriptive. The root word is describe. It means we describe the data presented using numerical and categorical descriptors. For example, we talk about mass, height, age. Common questions. What's your mass? What's your height? How old are you? What's your gender? What's your religion? What's your civil status? These are just descriptive statistics because we just give answers to describe the data. Like you'll ask me, what is your average grade in stats? What is the most popular brand in shoes this time? That's simply describing. So that's descriptive statistics. But if we say inferential, we make use of, wait first. But if we say inferential, then we need to draw conclusions. Like those data from the descriptive statistics, we use them to predict, to forecast, to estimate, to correlate, and even to do hypothesis testing. For example, you'll ask yourself, if I'll jog 30 minutes a day, will my mass, will I lose some weight? That might go into a conclusion, and that is inferential statistics. Or, for example, we do weather forecasting, like it rains on Sunday to Friday. Will it rain on Saturday? These ones will give you some conclusions and will lead you to conclusions. And we call them descriptive statistics. Now, what's the importance? You say, why study statistics? You know what? Um, of all the mathematics, the branch of math that I've encountered with, stat is the most practical subject for me. Why? It's true that we use math every day. We use calculus, we use algebra, we use geometry every day. But stat is the most practical one and the one that we can relate with to everyday's life. Like, what are the uses and importance of stats? Like in the first one, in the television, people are giving data. How many COVID patients do we have today? How many died? How many recovered? And what's the percentage of recovery? Some would present it in just numbers, while some would present it in a graph. And that is statistics. Second, have you seen your NCAE results? It's full of graphs and numbers. It is statistics. Have you seen the death rates and the birth rates? That is what the Philippine Statistics Authority is giving us as a data. And it is based on the term Philippine Statistics Authority. When you do experiments, you collect the data, you analyze the results, that is still stats. And when we go to economics, you analyze the supply and the demand and the cost of products, that is still statistics. So you see how important stat is in everyday life. And I expect you to answer activity 1 after this session. Now, once we deal with stat, there are two possible data that you will have. First is qualitative data, and the second is quantitative data. By the way, I forgot to tell you that for this semester, you're enrolled in Practical Research 1, and that is qualitative data. In the next school year, by the first semester, you'll be enrolled in Practical Research 2, and that is quantitative data. And this course, Statistics and Probability, is a prerequisite to Practical Research 2. Therefore, it means that if you need to pass this subject in order to take Practical Research 2. Now let's go to the two types of data, qualitative and quantitative. For researchers, we just call it quali and quanti. Now, when do we say that data is quali? If the data is non-numerical, it means if the data does not involve numbers, it's just in words and symbols, we call it qualitative. But if the data will give you a numerical answer, that means it is quantitative. Now, example, I'll ask you, what's your gender? The answer could be male or female. That's not numerical, so it's just qualitative. If I'll ask you, what is your religious affiliation? The answer is not a number, so it is a qualitative data. But if I'll ask you, how old are you? You say, I'm 17 years old. That's a number. So age is a quantitative data. Or if you'll be asked of your height, mass, and number of cell phones that you have, then the answer will be a number. So it is a quantitative data. You know what's my cue in this? Quan, N. It means number. So if the answer is a number, then it's a quantitative data. Now let's go to the levels of data. Let's start first. There are 4 levels of data. We call them, I just call them NORI: nominal, ordinal, ratio, and interval. Let's start with nominal level. If you say nominal level, these are non-numeric. It means it's a qualitative data. These only consist of names, labels, or categories. So for example, you'll be asked, what's your gender? What's your civil status? Religious affiliation? What else? What's your favorite color? Favorite Bible character? The answers are non-numeric. So we call this the nominal level of measurement. Or what else? Um, you talk about what is the socio-economic status, or you talk about your category in the poverty level, then that is a nominal level of measurement. The second one is the O, ordinal. Ordinal level of measurement, it can be qualitative or can be quantitative as long as there is an order. Let me give you a qualitative example of ordinal. Sizes: small, medium, large. The answer is non-numeric, right? It's qualitative, but there is an order. So the level is ordinal. Or another one, we talk about academic rank, like valedictorian, salutatorian, first honorable, second, and third honorable. There is a specific rank. Therefore, it's called an ordinal level of measurements. Or another one, um, we have the professional rank in our system, like professor, associate professor, assistant professor, then instructor. Or if you're in a Pathfinder club, there that's also an ordinal level of measurements. Like we have the battalion commander, the staff, the division leader, the unit captain, the guidance bearer, the scribe. There is a specific rank. So it's an ordinal level of measurements. Or another, in the quantitative, for example, first, second, third. It's numerical, but there is an order. So it's under the ordinal level of measurement. Or another thing, what else? Shoe size: 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, up to 44, or bigger than that. There is a specific order. So it's an ordinal level of measurement. The next one, ratio and interval are very much alike. They are both quantitative data. The only difference is in the ratio, there is a real zero. This one, there is a real 0 point. Like if you say 0, it means nothing or no quantity present. But in interval, actually we call it true 0 and the false 0. In the interval level, we have the non-real 0 point. It means that 0 does not mean nothing. 0 means something. So again, in the ratio level, 0 means nothing. But in the interval level, 0 means something. Example, you got a score in our math test. You got 0. What does it mean? It means you got no correct answer. 0 means nothing. So a score is under the ratio level of measurement. Or another one, allowance. If you say allowance, What do you mean if you say you have got zero allowance? For sure, you have zero money, right? So that is a true zero. That's a rational level of measurement. Or if we ask mass of garbage, if the mass is zero, it means there's no garbage. There's nothing in it. But if it's in the interval level of measurement, zero means something. Example, if the temperature is zero, it does not mean that there's no, what's this? There's no temperature at all. It only tells us that it's very, very cold. It's the freezing point. If the IQ test score is zero, it doesn't mean that the person does not have any intelligence at all. It could be possible that wala dito, ma'am, wala ako na-correct sa IQ test because wala dito akong gistudyhan. Or my intelligence is not measured in those test questions. So that's it. If zero is real, if zero means nothing, that's a ratio level. If zero means something, or that's an interpretation, it's an interval level. Now, you can start answering your activity sheets this time while I continue. Now, the first step in STAT is we define a problem. You'll be conducting surveys. And the first thing to ask is, what's the question? What's the problem all about? Now, how can we define a problem? Or you'll, what's your schedule for practical research? Two, I get one, I guess that's TTH. Tomorrow you will be asked, what's your problem? What's your research problem? Now, what can be your guidelines in choosing your research problem? First, it must be your personal choice. It's the problem is not just something that you just Google over the internet. It must be your personal choice. And second, a problem must be in line of your interest. Uh, I've been conducting research and I realized that if I'm not interested in the topic, if I'm not interested in the problem, then I don't have the motivation to work on my research. So once you will be working on a research problem, be sure it is your line of interest. Like, what's your interest? Is your interest um, in analyzing how children of OFWs live life? Or do you want to know the lived experiences of those teenage parents or teenage fathers? Or do you want to interview people who have been struggling with alcohol or with drug addiction or with computer addiction? This must be your line of interest. Third, availability of the data. If this will be my problem, will there be an available data? Is it safe for me to gather the data? Then the fourth one, significance. How can this research be of help to the society? My research teacher told me, if you're just conducting a research to graduate, then it's not of value at all, because he said that a research paper should not end in a bookshelf. It must make a difference to the society. And the last one is relevance. Can my research, can the answer to this problem help the world? Because if not, why research on that? It's not important. Now, what are example of research problems? We have cyberbullying. You would like to ask, how does it feel for a teacher or student to conduct classes on weekends? Or how to stop COVID-19 and it's still 2021? So this can be sample problems. The last one is about statistical instruments. Oh, there's a problem and you need to gather a data. But you'll ask, how? And how will I gather data? And what tool or what instrument should I use in gathering the data? These instruments can be interview guides, questionnaires, or rating scale. If you say interview guide, it's usually used for face-to-face gathering of data, or for or this time due to the pandemic, they are very lenient to having online interviews. So if you'll interview someone, you just don't go there and just ask questions in random. You need to have an interview guide. These are the list of all the questions that you need to ask during the interview. There's a main question and there's a follow-up question. Second, questionnaire. A questionnaire is what you receive, right? If you'll be conducting a study, you will print a questionnaire and you will ask your respondents to answer the questionnaire. By the way, participant is different from respondents. If you say respondents, they're just answering a questionnaire. But if you say participants, they are immersed to your problem. Like you do an experimental study, then we call them participants. There are two types of questionnaires. First is the structured format, and the next is the unstructured open format. In the structured format, the answers are there in the questionnaire. You just need to choose them. Like, have you noticed a ratings? What's your favorite color? Yellow, blue, black, red. It's already there. But if you say unstructured or open format, you need to write the question, the answers. Like there's no options given. But the other type is the rating scale. A rating scale can also be a questionnaire, but there is a rating that we follow. For example, strongly agree, strongly disagree, agree or disagree. Or we have some will have the Likert scale, the 1 to 7, little up to as often as you could. So these are the types of statistical instruments that we could use: interview guide, questionnaire, and the rating scale. So for now, it's time for you to activity. These are short activities. Activity 1 is the importance of stats. Activity 2 is quality or quantity. And activity 3 is about the levels of measurement.